My mom told me not to talk to strangers on the internet, but I'm glad I didn't listen. We are the Certified Noonas, your sisters in the love of Asian entertainment.
Hi, I'm Amanda.
And I'm Natalia, and it's just the two of us. Life has been kind of weird for most of the Noonas for like 3 months now. So it's been a lot of me with one other person.
With somebody.
Because I have like the least going
the
on
Natalia
in the evening.
and Friends shows lately.
So I hope that's okay. So, but because of that, we've had to like change up a few episodes. So it's not really, we don't really have the episode diversity that we normally do. So I hope y'all are still enjoying what we're doing. And today, we had to switch up what our episode was about this week due to shenanigans. So it was what have both of us watched that we can talk about for 45-ish minutes was what we were going to talk about. And the answer was I finished the show Usotoki Rhetoric, which I mentioned on 2 previous episodes. One was the watch list roulette, and it was my favorite one out of the 4 that I watched. And then again, I said I was going to finish it on last week's What We're Watching episode. And then I did. And then Amanda had already watched it. So it just seemed like a very easy thing to come in because I feel like this is a J-drama that perhaps because it didn't come out, like it wasn't available on a streaming service in the West with subs while it was airing, that perhaps like some people may have missed it. Mm-hmm. And which would be a shame because this is the most charming show.
It really is.
I've seen in a long time.
It really is one of those dramas where you feel like almost everybody, it would work for them in some way or another, right? Like, they might be into the mystery. They might be, like, it almost hits some horror light, like in some of it,
light,
very light, like extremely light. That's not my vibe, but like
it's got a little bit of something.
It's got a little bit of everything
for everyone,
and nothing goes too hard that it would like push you like away. Unless you have specific triggers that it is murder mysteries and stuff. So like
and so. Before we get too deep into it, I just want people to know this is like a spoiler light episode. We're probably not going to go. To be honest, like the spoilers aren't really. There's no like huge, like we're not going to tell you who done it with every episode because that would be like a bizarre thing for us to do. But there may be a few spoilers, and there's like a few very light trigger warnings for like non-explicit violence. You never see anything too crazy. You know what I mean? Like, this could easily be played at 7 p.m. in any home in the world, and no one would have any problem with it. So if like you weren't sure, like mystery-wise or whatever, it's not that bad. So we just wanted to let you know that there might be a few spoilers going forward. But we're going to tell you all about Usotoki Rhetoric. So this is a historical cozy mystery J-drama. And you can watch it on Viki if you're in North America at least. And I think probably Europe is similar. I can only tell you what you can watch in Canada.
Europe, so we can't.
Yeah, I can only 100% guarantee that it is available on Viki in both the US and Canada because I watched it in Canada and Jessie watched it in the States. So it is available on Viki in those 2 locations. And that's all it says on MDL. That's its only availability. But it's actually, I'm kind of sad that it's not available on Netflix. Specifically because I really think my mom would really like this show. And I feel like a lot of people like around like who like the same sort of stuff that my mom likes, which is like she loves like cozy mysteries, like Murder, She Wrote, Murdoch mysteries, that sort of thing. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of like a shame that it's great that it's on Viki because we get to watch it. But like I feel like this show could become very popular amongst the older lady set. You know what I mean?
It's got a very like BBC, Acorn TV, whatever, like cozy British mystery vibe.
It really does.
Like the found family aspects and the quirky and
sort of offbeat, like everyone's a little too progressive for the time that it's set. It's fun.
Quite, yeah.
So the basic plot is you follow this woman named Kanoko, who ever since she was a child, anytime someone lies, she can hear that they're lying. And this has caused her nothing but problems because she became she loved the truth, and so she would call people out on their lying, and people don't love being called out by a kid when they're lying in a small town.
Well, also, as a child, I mean, anybody who's been around children knows this. Children do not get nuance, right?
No.
So, and the series actually does look
really
into this, like, well, the fact that not all lies are malicious, not all lies are lies. Like, sometimes there's nuance there, and she's not hearing that, and she's not understanding that.
Yeah, as a kid.
And it's causing extra grief in her life.
It's causing strugles, you know what I mean? So because her mom has been basically tormented by their entire village because of her daughter, Kanoko decides to leave and go to the city and find work there, where she stumbles upon two fellas, Soma and Kaoru. And Kaoru is a very well put together police officer who's very professional and very upright and very by the book. And meanwhile, Soma is a private detective who's, for lack of a better word, a huge loser, but like in a lovable sort of way. Like, he's broke as hell. He mooches off of everyone. He's sarcastic, but he's not mean. He's just
also really kind. Like, he's kind, like, weirdly kind, because he's also like, nah, let's leave the passed out chick in the middle of the woods, but like, because it's too much work.
He was never actually gonna leave her.
Exactly. He would never actually do that. It's just like he has a reputation to uphold as being lazy and weird.
And so she befriends him, and he very quickly figures out that she can tell anytime someone is lying. And this intrigues him. And so he, for lack of a better word, hires her to be his personal assistant to help him on his very few and far in between cases. But the thing is, he does not pay her. And basically they just mooch together now.
It's like he hires her and he pays her in room and board, but he can't actually afford
he never pays rent. So there's always these little side stories where he'll be doing stuff for his landlord so that he doesn't have to pay the back rent that he owes. And that usually is like the impetus for what starts them on the actual case of the episode. And it is an 11 episode show. And each episode's about like 45, 50 minutes. Yeah. Pretty standard. And like, it is set in 1926. And it is absolutely adorable.
I love the way because of the timing that it's set, the costuming is so good. Like, because there's people wearing very traditional Japanese wear, and then there's people wearing like modern 1926.
Like he wears a Western suit all the time, but she wears a kimono all the time, except in one episode. So it's just like, it's very, the styling is very charming, and you very quickly get introduced to like a wide array of basically just their neighbors, who then they're basically just it's a found family setup. So it's like you have the couple and their child who run the restaurant next door and they feed them every day and are always like, oh, you're going to pay your tab, aren't you? And he never pays his tab. Like, and then there's the police officer who's like the main dude's best friend for some reason that I can't understand, but he's sort of a magnetic personality. Then there's like this rich girl who lives across town who really wants to be a detective. So she always shows up and he's like, oh my God, don't tell her I'm home. Like, she's so annoying. And then there's like the landlady that you never meet, but is present. Her presence is
constantly sending them off on jobs.
On various odd jobs. And then
something.
And then there's like this old couple that runs like a bun stand. And the grandma is terrible at cooking and the grandpa's great at cooking. So like there's like this ongoing bit.
The running gag.
Yeah, the running gag where he's like, who's at the stall today? And like, you know, heaven forbid if you make eye contact with the grandma and get forced to buy her atrocious
You're like,
food.
I am not hungry, and your stomach is growling, and grandma's like, no, take two. And you're like,
yes.
Dang it.
You're like, oh, great.
No.
And then basically they just go and solve sometimes low stakes, but that very quickly escalate into high stakes, but never for the main characters' mysteries.
Yeah.
So, like, for example, in the first episode, there's like the Schrodinger's prostitute, who I think I called her the other episode, where there's a prostitute that has gone missing that they're not even looking for. But then the little boy next door goes missing. And then, you know, it turns out the two might be connected. Or there's a kidnapping. Or, you know, like, she thinks that some guy has stolen a mirror, so she's out to prove that he's a thief because he heard her lie. She heard him lie about the origins of the mirror. It's just like, it's very much like the setup is very much Murder, She Wrote, where it's like Angela Lansbury's just in, you know, this town meeting her friend, and then like they're just having a lovely conversation about one thing, but then suddenly that one thing realizes it's connected to like a murder, and you're just like, yes, this is what I'm here for. And then you just have our very earnest, truth-hearing lady, and then our food-motivated scamp of a fella. And it's lovely.
It's got, I mean, they're not children, they're adults, but it's got a very sort of YA vibe in that she is coming of age. She is grown, but she's so naive and she's so innocent, and the show really shows her sort of growing up and learning that like life's not as black and white. It's not all lies and truth. And like learning how to deal with people, and like I was thinking about it and I thought, you know, you see all this stuff about how terrible her life in the village was, and it made me even wonder by the end of the series how much of that was her perspective on it. Like how many friendships did she lose because she misinterpreted what was going on and she pushed people away, or you know, she made things rougher on herself than they had to be, which is not her fault because she was a child. But like as an adult, you see her reevaluating certain conversations that she remembers from the past, and it's like, I like that you see very consistent growth, and that he is helping her take those steps. Like, because he's like frequently like there.
The thing is, he's like, he's a bit of a scam artist in a certain way, mostly just to get food from people. But like, he's not a bad guy. Like, he's an incredibly good dude. And you can tell even from like, even though he's just like, you know, she can sleep outside, whatever. Like, he would have never actually let anyone sleep outside. You know what I mean? Like,
I mean, when she moves in, it seems that they've only got a 1-bedroom place, and he gives her the bedroom. He's sleeping on the couch most of the time. Like, you know. But
then acting as though he always sleeps on the couch anyway. So it's fine.
Right.
It's totally fine. I really enjoy a food motivated character. There's something really funny about that, where it's just like, he is a terrier in that sense, where he can be controlled by food, but he's always on the job too.
Yeah.
Like he notices everything. And
it's sort of like character-wise, I would, if you're at all into mysteries and stuff, he's almost like a weird cross between like Sherlock Holmes and like Sean from Psych. Like, or you're right, like the guy from Psych. It's like
Sean,
it's like he's a bit of a scam artist, but he's also very intelligent, and he like sees,
you know,
he makes the connections, and then he tricks you into like revealing it yourself, kind of thing. So
it's like you get the sense from it that he really doesn't need her there to tell him when people are lying, because he kind of can figure it out because he has very good emotional intelligence. So he's very good at like discerning what is the truth regardless, but he just kind of likes having her around. And I like that energy because like it gives her purpose because she feels like she's not a freak anymore. But also now he has someone in on his shenanigans, which is all he's ever wanted. And you can kind of tell that because he's constantly trying to get his cop friend in on all his shenanigans. And the cop friend doesn't want to be involved in the shenanigans whatsoever, but is there against his will. Meanwhile, she's so excited to be included in shenanigans because no one has ever wanted to include her in shenanigans because of her ability. And he's like, well, I was going to tell you the truth anyway. I don't care if you know I'm lying. I'll let you figure out why I'm doing it. Like,
and I think you're a smart
girl.
That he is, it feels like he's one of the few people who's ever been in her life who would lie to her, but also prove his trustworthiness to her over and over and over again. So she reaches the point where she goes, hang on, I know I can trust him. So if he's lying to me, there must be a reason why he's lying to me. And maybe I can let him have that. You know,
he never really lies directly to her. He will lie to someone else in her vicinity for a purpose. And so I really liked that there was like a sense of they have real honesty with each other. And it's not, and he's not doing it because he knows she can tell that she's lying, that he'd lying if he didn't, but that he would do that anyway because he only really lies if he's trying to use it to like get information about a case they're working on. Or if food's on the line. You know what I mean?
In the case of his best friend, there's a whole one of the episodes rolls around the best friend, the cop, and she can tell he's lying. But as it unfolds, he's lying to protect people, right? Like to protect their heart, to protect
their emotions.
Like, and it's kind of cool because you see her learning that sometimes there's lies that you say not to hurt people but to protect people and things like that. So I like that aspect of it. I just really enjoed the show. I kind of hope they do a second season.
I do too.
This is the kind of show that you can, because it's just
because it's
little mysteries.
It's a mystery of the week.
New mysteries.
It's a mystery of the week. Now it did. Okay, this is what sort of like threw me for a little bit of a loop, is that it is tagged as a romance genre. No, like listen, there's really
it's got romance in the way that most cozy mystery book series have romance.
It's real slow burn.
They might get together by like book 10. But this is book 1.
Yeah, we ain't at book 10 yet. Okay, and like clearly they're perfect for each other.
Yeah.
Okay, like no one else would put up with his bullshit. And like no one else would be as just unflinchingly honest to her all the time. So like there's absolutely no way that anyone else would be ending up with either of these people. But like they're just like
they're also just both so awkward that they could wind up being 80-year-olds who have lived platonically together for their entire lives.
And then realize, wait, you were in love with me the whole time? I was in love with you the whole time.
What?
It's just you know what? I've been watching quite a few shows recently that don't really have any real romance to speak of in them. This was the only one that didn't involve a lot of punching, though. I will be honest. Most of the other ones, they were all punch 'em ups of various different vibes, like Study Group, which was punch 'em up comedy, and then Weak Hero Class 2, which was punch 'em up not comedy, anti-comedy punch 'em up. That one, we're not gonna get into that today, but oh boy, tune in for what we're watching at the end of this month, because I'm sure I'll go into it. But this one was like a really nice show that you just want to keep watching. You know what I mean? Like sometimes there's shows that you're just like, it's not that you're not enjoying watching them, but they feel like a lot to watch in a like one after the other.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you feel like you're just like, oh my God, I need a break from this. But this one, you're like, let me get some more popcorn. Yeah. Next episode. Thank you.
And because it's a story of the week, you don't have that thing where it's like you hit episode 9 and you're like, really, we're still doing this? Or, you know,
there was the one storyline that is 2 episodes. And then they're like, and we're done with that storyline, moving on to the next one. And I really like that format. Like, listen, I love a good like full season mystery. Like, I think back to, this is going to be like a bizarre reference, but it will make sense. I think back to like Buffy the Vampire Slayer, okay? Where each week there was like a monster of the week, but there was also like an overarching plot that's going on, like a storyline. So like season 1, it's like you had your monsters of the week, but you also had the, you know, the master that she was like, you know, but this didn't. The overarching storyline was her becoming okay with her as a person. Yeah.
Which is great.
Yeah, which is lovely. I love it. And it's like, and the way that it's structured, because he's the detective, you would really think that like this is going to become very quick. There's a lot of shows like this where they start where it's like centered around the woman, but then there's like a fun, intriguing dude, and suddenly the show is all about the dude. You don't know shit about this guy at the end of this show.
No.
You don't know his family background. He's like important. Like, why is he so poor? How did he become not important? What was important was that she had a good moment of growth in herself. Yeah. And I like a show that says this is the main character and presents a woman. And then at the end of the season, you're like, this is a main character and it's still the woman. Because a lot of shows, they start out saying this is the main character, a woman, and then suddenly, like about a third of the way through the show, they're like, we got tired of writing about women. And now we're gonna write about the dude because he's hot and and we'll give him an interesting backstory. Well, and it's just like, okay.
This series does have, like, there are times when, you know, he is central to the conversations or the scenes or whatever, or like you're seeing him without her. It very much, to me, reads like a single POV series. Like, it's her story and it's from her perspective. We see him through her eyes. We see, you know, and even when, like, there's an episode where her mother comes to visit and there's a lot of stuff that's just him and her mother. But other than that, like, everything feels like you're reading her story. You're seeing her story. The bits that are him without her are like little just episodes here and there. Like, it's her story.
Excerpts from the episode. Like, the episode's mostly centered around her, but then it'll be like, oh, let's check in on what, you know, Dingus is up to. Like, there's like one episode where it's like, she's got a whole thing going on. Okay? She's got a whole thing going on. But then it's like, he's like, I gotta go because this woman that you meet earlier in the series, like, she's gone missing because her parents want her to get married, and then you find out that she just went off to a gambling hall, and so there's just like an excerpt of like him and her like scamming people in mahjong at the gambling hall for money, and you're just like, absolutely, that's what they're doing. Like, and then it's just like, but now back to like the self-discovery and
like when the chick shows up at first, and you kind of get that moment of like, oh, this is like his love or his like lost love like, or something, and it's like, no, these two can't be together.
No,
they're the same person. It doesn't work.
Like, they would murder each other if they were together. Like they're the big sip. Like at first, because like this woman that she's a journalist for like a paranormal magazine, which is hilarious. Okay, and she shows up and she's wearing like a red dress, and she has like the little cute little hat and like a real cunty bob, and she's just like, oh, like shows up and you're like, oh, femme fatale, and then it's like immediate like sibling energy between the two of them, and you're like, oh, I see, perfect. There's a lot of really good just like side character work that go, like the acting in this was really quite good. Like the people who played all the little characters who were like the, you know, involved in the random cases, like they were so delightful, and the cases were interesting, even though most of them were not, like a lot of them did have murder in them, but they weren't like high stakes murder, you know what I mean? Like it's not like serial killer. Like I think the worst one was like this woman who was clearly mentally unwell, who'd been keeping a dead body in a hidden room for like 10 years. Because,
well, like the very first episode with the kid and the like, that's kind of an intense one, but like after that, you're sort of, a lot of it's just, it gets intense. It could be intense. There are moments of intensity, but
it never gets to that.
By the time you get to those episodes with the intensity, you know what you're watching, and it's not
like
you know never, it's gonna work out in the end.
You're never like really worried that anything bad is going to happen to any of these characters. Like, you know that everyone's going to be bundled up in that office with the broken window drinking tea made of weeds at the end of this episode. You know what I mean? Like, you're never worried that something horrible is going to happen to these people. Like, because that would be just counter to the whole vibe of this entire show.
Exactly. I love one of the characters that I love is Chio, who is the rich girl, the rich daughter, who they get involved with her through a case and stuff, and she, like Natalia said before, she wants to be a detective, and she's very, I love a character who is rich and spoiled, but also kind and good. Like she is very spoiled, and she clearly doesn't understand. Like there's a scene where she's like, did you just serve me warm water? And she's like, yeah, we ran out of like weeds to make tea. And she's like, so buy tea? And she's like,
they're just like look at each other like
okay, girl, but did I not just tell you we're doing odd errands because we can't afford to pay the rent? Like, no, drink the warm water kind of thing. But then her whole attitude is like, well, if you guys don't have tea, then I will bring tea and a whole tea set, because you should have those things. And like,
and also because she had a case, because she didn't want the lady to not be drinking the good tea.
Exactly.
And so she's like, you can't serve warm water in your crappy
cup. Not like,
but she's not mean about it.
Like it's so, and I love that in a character. Like you see those characters sometimes who are just so, like it's almost like like an Elle Woods or a you know, like from Clueless or something. Like that character,
like it's hard,
good, and she's rich, and she's kind of dumb, but not really, and like learns, and she does. She starts to like grow a little bit as a character too, which is nice. So like a little bit, not a lot, because she's just, but it's also fun because Kanoko's never had a female friend, and now she has this friend that she can do stuff with, you know, go for ice cream or whatever with. And it's like, it's just nice. It's nice to see her having this. And I mean, Chio, she's not lying to you over stuff. No. She'll just tell you the truth.
Yeah.
Because why would I lie very about honest. Things?
Why would I bother lying?
Why would I do that?
That's wrong. I did enjoy, there's like a few characters where I think if this was made into like a multi-season show, that they would come back and be like, I'm not gonna say like villains, but like recurring characters of interest. Like the one case that we were just talking about where she brings the tea set, they're trying to determine which of this woman's these two men are this rich woman's grandson. And one of them, not the grandson, but very quickly figures out that she can tell if he's lying. And so like they have like a whole scene where he's like, oh, like, and he like, because she makes a hand signal when if they're lying or telling the truth. And so he turns around, he's like, oh, and he makes the signal for telling the truth. And he's like, was I lying? And then like, I was like, and then he like disappears and you never see him again. And I'm just like, I want to see this guy again.
Season 2, he would come back.
He would come back as like
case for them, or
somehow be involved in a case again or something.
He wasn't like a bad guy. He was just
he's just an opportunist. You know what I mean? Like he was a little bit of a scam artist, but he wasn't like a murderer or anything. He was just, you know, trying to get a little opportunity.
That was one of the things that really struck me in that episode was that they did a really good job casting the two grandsons because they looked very similar. The actors they picked had very similar sort of builds and look to them. They could play brothers. They could, you know, so you could very much see how the grandmother could look at them both and go, this could go either way. I yes, both of these could be my beautiful daughter's beautiful child. Like, you know.
Yeah. I thought he was just such an interesting character, and I was like, oh, you play a good, like, recurring, like, not the word villain is wrong, but like adversary to like, you know, sort of like, not like a Moriarty to like a very low stakes Moriarty to the Sherlock, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because and this is very like low stakes Sherlock John situation happening in this show, because like while he's a scamp, I think is the main thing that you could call Soma. He's a scamp, but he is also highly intelligent, but not in the same way that like Sherlock Holmes is. Like he's irritating about it. Like Sherlock Holmes is often played off as being just absolutely insufferable, but he's like a little scamp. He's just a little scamp, and then she's the straight man, right? She's the one who never knows if he's joking or not. Like she's just like, well, you can't do that. We can't do. He's like, it's fine. Don't worry about it. And like, you know, and so. And you can't help but be like, oh, fine, you can get away with it, you little scamp. You know, like it's just like, and he's played by Suzuka Uiji, who was in what was the name? From Me to You.
Okay,
he was.
I had watched
so
him.
Good in that.
I watched him last year or the year before in that Shady Job Family. Which completely different vibe, but very good. He's a very good actor. He's very good at making you. Just believe, and
he's got a sweet little round little face. He's like he looks innocent, but he's real scamp energy. Like he feels like a kid who got into a lot of trouble as a kid,
but then like got himself out of a lot.
Yeah, but like harmless trouble. Like you know, like he would like you know he seems like the type that would like flirt with an older lady and be like, oh, this is your mother, like not your sister. Like he looks like the type of guy who would say that. You know what I mean? I don't know if that's the case in reality, but like every role I've seen him in, that's like the energy he puts out, that he would just be like a little bit of a flirt, but like not a serious one, like not greasy, just like Scampy, you know, Scampy, he's the little guy, he's the little scamp. And she's played by Matsumoto Hanoka, and she's so delightful because you can just feel the anxiety rolling off her all the time. She's just a nervous little bean who just wants to be liked. And that's really, it's like, that's oftentimes when you're introduced to this sort of character, it becomes painful to watch because you feel really bad for them. Right? Yeah. Like you're just like, ooh, but you don't actually feel that bad for her because she's actually so easy to like, and everyone does and everyone
likes her. Like, yeah, it's sort of hard to watch initially because she doesn't realize everybody likes her, but she just charms everybody, and
just by being her nervous energy.
Being, it's like everybody just wants to protect her and look after her, and
she's just nice. She's just nice, and she's so earnest, and she's just, you know, and she's always just like, can I help you? I just want to do the right thing. I just want to be liked, and I love that the show isn't cynical about it. There's nothing cynical in this show. Like, no one ever takes advantage of her, like, in malicious ways, because it would be very easy to do so.
Like, when she leaves for the big city and her mom's kind of worried about her, she's like, Mom, I can tell when people are lying to me. What trouble could I get into? And you're like,
a lot though.
But you know, there is a little bit of protection in that.
Yeah.
That she can kind of
she can't get scammed that easily. You know what I mean?
Now, like in that same episode we were talking about with the two grandsons, one of the things I thought was interesting is that it does show you the difference between lying and saying something that's not true.
Yeah.
Because there's a lawyer at these dinners and at all these conversations who half of what he's saying is absolute crap. Like, it's total lie. But he believes it's true because he's done his research. The fact that he's been scammed doesn't make the things he's saying
not true to him.
Right? Like, they're like, so she's listening to, you never hear that he's lying, but then you find out that some of the things he said are not true.
Yeah, but he was lied to. And I find it's just what I liked about the show, and this is very uncommon in this day and age, is that the show operates under the assumption that most people you meet are not terrible people. But people do terrible things sometimes, and they lie to one another sometimes because people are flawed and do things. But at the end of the day, the show really says, like, there are more good people than there are bad people. Yeah. Now, I don't know statistically if that's true or not. I would like to think that's the case.
True. Like, most of us go through our lives without getting murdered. Like,
yeah.
You know,
and I feel like most of us know more good people than we associate with shitty people. But like, I really like a show that tries to appeal to the better part of human nature. And this one, like, really does. Like, there's this one character who's just like, he's illiterate and just works a bunch of odd jobs. And he's just sort of like, just a dude that no one would respect. But he also adopted a kid whose mom abandoned her and made up a story so that she wouldn't feel bad like he did growing up. And he tries to help a little boy who's like turning to stealing. And he's like, you know, man, I'm not going to send you to the cops because you stole from me, but I'm going to give you an opportunity to make a better choice. And I feel like there's an overall theme in this show is that you have the opportunity to make a good choice all the time.
And that really not all the bad choices are malicious. That, you know, like, I feel like that's one of the things that lessons that she learns through the series as well, is that not every lie is malicious, and not every time somebody does something wrong is it with malintent. Like, you know, sometimes people steal because they're hungry. Sometimes people lie because reasons, and it's not always to hurt her or to hurt somebody else or to, you know, and she grows, and I like that they show you that. Like, I feel like too often we use the word lie for everything, and we say all lies are bad, right? It's bad to tell a lie. You should never tell a lie. But then we do think, you know, as parents, we tell our kids, don't tell lies, don't tell lies. But then, you know, you tell them about Santa Claus or the Easter Bunny or whatever. And then when your kid goes, wasn't that a lie? You're like, no, because it's not a lie. It's, you know, but
it's
like
an untruth. It's a fiction. Yeah. It's a fiction. Right. Or like, you know, if someone, you know, is, you know, going through surgery or something, you can tell them, oh, you look great, even if they look like shit. Because you're like, no, I'm not going to be like, oh, you look like shit, even though it's a lie. It's an untruth, but it's not bad. Yeah. You know, like.
And I feel like that is a major growth for Kanoko's character. Like she learns that people can love you and want the best for you and still not always tell you 100% the truth. Yes. Because they're trying to protect you, or they're trying to protect themselves. They have, you know, people are allowed to have secrets. And she kind of even says that at times. She'll be like, I can tell that he's lying about this, but I'm going to let him tell me when he's ready to tell me, because people are allowed to have their own things. I have my own things, so I need to recognize that I keep things to myself, so other people should be allowed to keep things to themselves as well. Yeah. And like not getting, whereas the girl she was at the beginning would have been extremely offended by that and hurt and like, how dare you kind of thing. Or like, you must hate me that you would do that. And by the end of the series, she's like, we'll just let this unfold. We'll wait. I trust you. I trust that you care about me and that you have my best interest at heart. So I'll just, you know.
Yeah, I'll let it go. I'll see where this goes.
But he's also really good at like recognizing when her anxiety starts to ramp up about things. So, you know, he'll be like, listen, okay, I am just going to tell you the truth right now, even though it'll, you know, ruin a surprise or whatever, because I can see your mind doing that thing it does, and we're just going to stop that right now. Okay? Yeah. Pretend to be surprised.
We're not like, going, don't worry about it. It's okay.
Yeah.
I just thought that it was such a nice show to watch in these times. It's a nice show to enjoy currently. Read into that what you will, you know. It was very easy to watch. It was not stressful. The stories were interesting, the characters were lovely. If you love found family, oh boy, are you in for a treat.
It is based off of a manga, which unsurprising, which ran for like 6 years or something. So clearly there's enough story that maybe we could get.
As long as you just keep coming up with new mysteries. Like
come on.
See, the mystery genre, it's why like Murder, She Wrote had, you know, it's why Murdoch Mysteries has like, how many seasons that have? Like 8 seasons or something?
Something like
that. Like there's always a new mystery.
There's like, always something new.
There's why Law and Order's been going on since my entire life. Because there's always, and now I'm actually curious, when did Law and Order start?
I don't know.
When did Law and Order first air? Okay, no, not quite. It wasn't quite my whole life. It premiered in 1990.
Okay.
So I was 3. So almost my whole life. It's, you know, it's why there's people, and it's why those like the cozy mystery is like really taking off as a book genre, because like people really need to unwind sometimes.
Yeah. And sometimes you like I love cozy reads, and I just like cozy fantasy, cozy mystery, whatever. And like I like the mystery, and you know, a couple of characters are going to die, but like you typically, if you read a lot of cozy mystery, you know exactly which characters are going to die, and like whatever.
Like
you don't get
like
too attached.
The first chapter, you're like, okay, this person ain't coming out.
Right?
It's like, you know, it's like when you're watching like a romance and suddenly like the good-looking like cousin of some dude shows up, and you're like, oh, this guy's gonna be better than the male lead in every way, but ain't got a shot. Okay, cool. I got it. Got it. Figured it out.
But it's nice to read something where you can have that little bit of edge, or you have whatever, but like you don't worry. You don't have to worry. You don't have anxiety. You're not stressed out about how is this going to end, because that's the biggest thing in cozy, right? Cozy genre, it's going to end up okay. It's like romance. They're going to wind up together. Cozy means it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay in the end. We're not going to leave you on some like horrific, like, and then they all died ending that you did not see coming, because that is not what we do here. And it's nice sometimes in the world that we live in. You need sometimes to just know how things are going to turn out in the end.
Like sometimes that's what you want, you know? Like,
yeah.
And this show, really, it's like I've been, very stressed out recently due to various things. And this show was a nice little break. And I think a lot of people would have a nice little break with it.
I agree.
You should check it out.
For sure.
Yeah. Do you have any final thoughts to let the people know on Usotoki Rhetoric?
Go watch it.
Watch it, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's just that good. It's very cute. It's very fun.
It's an enchanting little story. It's very
really
endearing.
And so pretty, like very pretty to watch because of the
and the soundtrack is so lovely. There's also a cute little cat character. They adopt a cat who wears a little bandana. Oh. Say less. I love the end theme song. This actually makes me laugh because I added the end theme song to my like Spotify playlist, but I do love every time a show, like the end theme song is just like a random pop song. But I do love when shows will then do like during, like saddish moments, will do like a sad piano remix of like, and they do this. Every time I heard it, I was like, yes, give me that sad instrumental version of this pop song. Yes, thank you. No, it's a delightful little show, and I think people should go watch it on Viki right now. And it's only 11 episodes, so it won't even take you that long. No, I swear. I think most people would get enjoyment out of this show.
Yeah, I agree.
Because like Amanda and I like wildly different shows, and we're both super into this. And Jessie loved it too.
Yeah,
yeah. So like,
I remember watching it and thinking, I'm really into this. And I weirdly feel like Jessie would enjoy this as well.
Yeah.
Which is very uncommon. Like Natalia and I are Venn diagram.
And then Jessie and mine's Venn diagram overlaps. But you know how rare it is that all three, and I think even Sky would really like this. So it's very rare that all four of the Venn diagrams come together. So this was like a really rare instance. But yeah, I think you should check it out. And I think most people would really enjoy it. But on that note, it's time for us to go. Next week, we have a first look episode. Anyone who knows me personally can probably glean what new show we're going to be talking about the first episode of next week. Because I bullied us into doing the next episode. I didn't bully. I just said, hey, you think we should do this? And everyone said, yeah, whatever, sure. But anyway, that'll be next week. And for this week, if you want to listen to us in audio for other episodes or whatever, all of our episodes are wherever podcasts can be found in audio. They're also, you can watch it on our website or listen to it on our website on certifiednoonas.com, which has links and time codes. But if you prefer video, we are also on YouTube, and every episode that we do gets also put in like a podcast playlist, so I think you can also listen to it on audio there. I don't really know how the YouTube podcast situation works, but we are on YouTube if you like video. And if you are, just, like, subscribe, leave a comment, tell your friends, if you like what we're putting down. And if you really like what we're putting down and you want to become an official supporter of this podcast, you can go to patreon.com/certified Noonas to join the Found family. They also did just win against Apple, so I think you can subscribe via the App Store again without it being super weird. But still do browser for now, just in case, because there's Patreon was like, Apple was doing some weird stuff with like extra fees and like subscription. I don't know. Listen, Sky knows all about it. I only know a little bit about it. But we do little mini episodes. We have a movie night, and just we love our Found family. They're great. But yeah, we'll be back next week with a new episode, and then the week after we'll be on vacation. We're on vacation the week after. Because I'm on vacation and I edit the podcast. So
and Natalia's been the linchpin for the last few months. So when she's
I'm the constant, right?
It all just falls apart.
If I'm not here, no one knows how to run the software, the recording software or anything. So it's like, okay, we'll just take a vacation. I don't go away that often. So if you're wondering, like, oh, this is so random, like these vacation weeks, I wonder what they correspond. It's when I'm away. That's because
Natalia has a life week.
Because I know how to run the software is literally what's happening. But anyway, we'll be back next week, and we hope you hang out with us. And as always, wash your hands, wear a mask. Measles is going around town. You do not want to get measles.
No.
So wear a mask, and as always, keep enjoying Asian entertainment. Maybe check out Usotoki Rhetoric. Who knows? We'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.